Hey guys, what's up? It's me, the Techie Scientist, and in this video, we are going to be checking out Ubuntu 21.04 on the Raspberry Pi. So, we can either do this with the imager, Raspberry Pi imager, or we can do this with the web method, but I would suggest you the Raspberry Pi imager method, which is very easy. You just open up the operating system options, go to the Ubuntu tab, and tap whichever you want to. In this case, Ubuntu 21.04 Desktop Edition. But if you just head over to the Ubuntu website and go to the Downloads tab, click on Raspberry Pi page, we can see that Ubuntu server works on everything from 2 to CM4, but when we head on to the Ubuntu desktop image place, we can only see Ubuntu desktop 21.04 is only there for 400 and the CM4. I don't know why they did not include the Raspberry Pi 4, but I think it will pretty much work on the Raspberry Pi 4 as well. Now, the minimum requirements for Ubuntu 21.04 to run is 4 gigs of RAM, and that's probably why the Raspberry Pi 4 is not included in the list, as it also has the option for 2 gigs of RAM and 1 gig of RAM, which is of course discontinued. Now, back to the images, and we just flashed to an SD card. I'm just gonna skip it, as I already have it flashed to an SD card. They've already tried it before. So just take it and put it into a Pi 400. Apologies for the out of focus camera. Just slot it in, and so this is the monitor I'm going to be connecting my Pi 400 to. So just click function and F10. I'm struggling a little bit with just one hand, but once we power it on with the power key, function and F10, it's going to be outputting HDMI, but you won't see it because it's already occupied by my MacBook Pro. I just changed the HDMI source to 2, and voila, there we have it. So we can clearly see that Ubuntu 21.04 is booting, and just give it a while. It's going to be booting. Okay, there you go. Ah, there it is, the nice little Ubuntu symbol. This is all good signs that your flash SD card is working. And we go to check that we have the mouse cursor. And in another sec, you should have the UI up and running. Okay, there we are. Ubuntu Suite Hippo, otherwise known as 21.04. There it is. It's got a nice ring to it, but it's totally fine. As you can see, the gorilla face from 2010 is changed to this hippo, as the name suggests. And we have the notification and the time bar, the H bar where you can change your settings and Wi-Fi, and you can also power it off. And here's the whole desktop view. There was a little bit of lag. I don't know why. Probably because the mouse was buggy, and it's really fine now. So that is the application corner with all the applications which was pre-installed and a few of them which I have installed myself. And I'm gonna go back and hit up Ubuntu software, because when you first get the thing installed, you only have Mozilla Firefox. You don't have Google Chrome. So if you want Google Chrome or the ARM version, which is Chromium, open source version, you need to go to the Ubuntu software and search for it. It's how I had installed it, and I'll show you how to do it. Go click that search bar at the top left corner and so type in Chromium. There's also a game named Chromium BSU, so don't get confused with that. Check out the Chromium browser and install it if you want to. And by the way, if you haven't heard the news, Google has discontinued sync for Chromium, so it's basically people are moving out of Chromium, but I'm still kind of like sticking to it. Just opening up Chromium web browser and just going into YouTube to check out a little bit of video playback performance. Okay, so I'm just getting a little bit of notifications. So just start off. Just going into my channel to check out video playback. Just take a while to load, and once it loads up, it's going to be pretty fast. It's going into my most recent video, and we'll see how the playback is. It's a little bit of stuttering there, but Just lower it down to 720p 60. To the Pi 400's point and the Ubuntu's point, it's just that I've recorded this video in a very high codec and very high format, so it's really tough for it to release. But as you can see at 720p60, it's totally fine. There's very little bit of stuttering. If I have the frame counter, I'll probably notice it. But since I don't have the stats for nerds, I don't notice it much. This is perfectly watchable. When we crank it up to 1080, it does take a while to buffer, as you can see here. Even though I'm on an Ethernet connection, it does take a while to buffer, but once it loads up, it's going to be pretty watchable. There is stuttering, I won't say no, but for a video like this, for casual YouTube watching, it's totally fine. Okay, so just coming out of YouTube to go for a little bit of web browsing, I'm just going to the Raspberry Pi Foundation's official website, and if we just try scrolling down a little bit, it's going to be very fast and hasty. I forgot where the mouse was. I got it now. As you can see, it's pretty fast. Images load up very nicely. It's very nice. It's going to the Pi 400 page. There it is, very nice. It's perfectly fine for some web browsing and office working. So next thing is going to be Pi apps. I'm going to try installing some other software using Pi apps. If you can just cut, copy, paste the thing from the GitHub repository and paste it over there, it's going to work. Since I've already installed it, I'm not going to be doing that. But I've copied some other unwanted things from the website, so I'm just going to cut off the extra characters. And that's it. This is what you need to install Pi apps. So you can just hit it, it's going to work. I'm just going to hit it, but then I'll just control C it afterwards because I've already installed it. Okay, so I just launched Pi apps from the terminal now. Okay, so there it is. No sound, trash that one. Going into internet. So I downloaded Discord from this and it's working real great. I can just show it to you in a minute. Just to show you, all this is running on that. I'm just going to hit the Raspberry Pi logo, the super key button, and just search for whatever app I want. And we have Discord, which is the web app, WebCard, which as it's popularly called. And Discording works perfectly fine. It's totally usable, completely more than usable. And you guys should check out my Discord server. The link will be in the description. It's totally new, but it's very nice. I even created my own Discord bot. There's a tutorial coming up, so get subscribed so you don't miss that. Okay, so we are back at the desktop. Just to check how it is for office working, I'm just gonna fire up Libreoffice Writer, and it's totally fast, very responsive, totally fine. Okay, since I'm just holding the camera with one of my hands, the other hand is not exactly great for typing, so I'm just gonna type random stuff over there. But it's gonna be totally fine, just to show that it totally works, totally responsive, and all that sort. Just gonna do any modifications. So just all of this just to prove you that it's very responsive and can be totally fine as a main desktop PC. If you're an office worker and need to edit Excel files, Word files, PowerPoint, etc. I'm just gonna fire up Chromium again. To do a little speed test on Ethernet and to see how fast it can go. So right now I'm connected via Ethernet and my plan is something like 200 Mbps. So as you can see, it goes pretty fine, about 170 Mbps. That's totally fine. Yeah, I should be getting 190 plus, but hey, it's totally fine. Just close the tab now. Back up the desktop, and I'm just going to give you a review and to see our response to this. Just now open terminal. Go back to my original folder. Just go to new fetch. Just show you the specs and everything. I am overclocked to 2.2 GHz. I could take it up to 2.3, but I thought it will be fine with 2.2 itself. Just to show you the configuration file, just note that it's unlike RPI OS where you just have to put /boot/config.txt. In Ubuntu it's /boot/firmware, as you can see in this lsblk /boot/firmware, and that's why your config.txt is gonna be. I'm just gonna go into that directory, and typing with one hand is seriously very bad, completely uncomfortable. Anyways, I'm just going there. Okay, I'm in. Just gonna enter my password because I'm taking super user access, and there we have it. Just gonna scroll down to show you. I'm just gonna as for now the GPU is overclocked to only 700, so I thought I'd just take it to 900. It'll be totally fine at 900, and I could take up this to 2.3 as well. I thought just let it just be at 2.2 because Ubuntu isn't exactly stable at 2.3, and you can see my over voltage. And originally at stock clocks this does work great, but overclocking is always better, and as long as you have sufficient cooling on the as per the 5400 has so more than sufficient cooling, and the maximum you can go around here is 60 degrees Celsius, so it's totally fine. And when you can overclock it, you can overclock it, and it's totally fine. And that's it. That's Ubuntu 21.04 for your. So if you enjoyed this video or learned something new, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and hit that bell icon so you can know when I release new content. Thanks for watching.